What can I say now? Another world's gone by. Another day now. It's gone bye, 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 bye. What can I say now? Another day gone by for me. What can I say now? And it rolling, 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 rolling by again. What can I say? Another day's gone by for me. What can I say? I'm not rolling away. It can't be easy to start live streaming and getting people to let's see, getting people to understand um, and respect and share and open dialogue and break the ice. And that's what we got to do. We got to break the ice. And it's so weird with the camera. I gotta. Oh, it makes me look away. I've debated how best to get get a positive result and how best to help, how best to use the talents that I've been gifted with experience and all that goes with it. And that's important to share what you've been given that way. And I've been over the years trying different things to find a way to do exactly that. And that's not been always a simple matter. It sounds like it should be simple, but it's not always simple. And with the political issues of the last several decades and watching it just become what was obvious in the agendas that are known, it becomes problematic to just look at it through like a window when in fact you're a passenger in this journey. A lot of people, I believe, likely just go about things and that's it. And I think we have that luxury sometimes not to have to be involved. Hey, you can focus on things more enjoyable. Why put yourself through this? I've been asked that. Like, why would you you put yourself through? I'm trying to adjust this camera, find a good spot. Put yourself through the aggravation, the heartache, the Why not go with the flow? I'm told that a lot. Go with the flow. Just give in. So much easier. So much easier to be a follower. Just go. Nod your head. Do the Hillary Clinton bobblehead. I might say, I've never been good at that. Just go with the flow. Be. Because everybody else is. Do as everybody else. Obey. Um, just obey. Just. What does it matter? Right? What does it matter to fight? To challenge yourself to be more than everybody else. To challenge yourself to be you and not need others to do it for you. To have your own mind, your own heart, and for the most part, trust in that. That is what I find for me important to be who I am and not need somebody else's mold, if you will, to be, the best you can be. Should be the goal, right? To find a way, make a way. To believe in yourself. To dare to dream. I always thought there's one thing to read about various people doing this or doing that or, what have you. And it can be great and inspiring. But then what do you do with it? Like all knowledge, what do you do with it? What have you done with it? I reflect often. I'm told when you get older you do that. um, I didn't want to be reading how somebody else did it. I wanted to do it. I wanted to be the one to be able to look back and say, yeah, I I did my best. I reached out. I lived. I shared with what I have, all that I have. And I made it as good as possible for as many as possible. While still being me and enjoying life and all that's in it, so to speak, and making a positive difference, making it better than when I first came into life. It's always been important to me, even when I was an extremely small child, to make others smile and see that I can make a difference. And I know I can have. And I look at these politicians and these so called leaders, and do they inspire me to something great? And the answer is not so much. Not so much. I am grateful that I know some have done things and put in the work and sacrifice and all that goes with it every day, various ways, like border patrol or military or so many other police, fire, whatever, medical, you name it. Everyday people. And there are the rare occasions, but that are out there in various forms, people doing positive things to help others every day. And I say it's uncommon, but it's never enough. I guess is my point. But there's heroes everywhere, everyday people. I got a friend who volunteers at a homeless shelter. Um, I know people. I have been that person, and I have been a long time. Uh, it's just been such a battle to survive. So I get it. But I respect the people that go out there and just do it. Just and they have their various reasons, like I said, motives. But I'm looking at the ones that create or mold the stage that we live in, our country that we live in. And I see so much selfishness, so much um, hate, greed, so much self-serving. The people that are supposed to represent you, they're not representing me. They're not representing you, likely. And words are so cheap. Pretending. Actors is what's I've heard people, truthfully, oath breakers. See, oath breaking used to be a thing, like a big thing. Like you could be killed for being an oath breaker. It was a huge public shaming at the very least. Um, you're oath breaker. I mean, I think if you call somebody an oath breaker now, they just kind of like laugh at you. There's a time if you had said you're an oath breaker, then that was serious. That was big. That was a hit on your integrity. That wasn't something you said lightly. And he certainly wasn't laughing. Now, oath breaker, that's the best you can come up with. Oh, if that was the only thing I've done, kind of thing. You know, it's that whole my fingernail broke. Your house is on fire. You're on fire. What about my fingernail? It's really that minor compared to the crimes that they've gotten away with. It's astounding. I'm concerned about the things going on. I am. I'm concerned that we don't take it seriously enough. Seriously enough. That we don't determine for ourselves that we need to fight for what we believe in, to realize it's our to protect even those whom lack the sense. It's our duty. Every generation's duty is to honor and respect and fight for their country's honor, belief system, and integrity. That we personally must have the integrity to represent our countries, our families, our way of life. There will always be those wanting to take your lunch money, your values, to degrade you, to make themselves feel more powerful, perhaps even be more powerful. It's funny how that works out. Like people who have the most ambition to, if you like, the boss man, so to speak, are often those that have a problem, but they're a fact of humanity that we have to keep an eye on. We have to keep in check so that ambition doesn't turn into a destructive force. Because having ambition is not a bad thing. It's how it's used. Motive. Why are you using? Why is it so important to you? Where's your heart in the matter? It always comes down to that. Ask yourself, what is the heart of Nancy Pelosi? What's her motive? Chuck Schumer, what's his motive? What is his heart on this matter? The wall, the border security, Trump, all of this. What's Trump's motivation? What's Mitt Romney's motivation? What is his goal? What is important to him? What is his actions telling you versus his words? How about Rand Paul? How about all the rest? Just watching this. What did they say? What do they talk about? What do they get asked about by Fox or somebody else? These are all things it's good to consider constructive, critically thinking about what is it that's on display before us? What is its significance? What is it? What is all this about? What are we going to do? What is? What does it matter? Some will say, many will say even. I can't do anything they say. Powerless, victim, defeatist. I often wondered what effect I have had personally in my life. You don't always know. You're wondering, did I do the right thing? What could I have done better? Differently? What have you? And I've been surprised over the years of, hey, um, I didn't know you saw it this way. Like my school days and all the terrible things that happened there, and years later being told, you inspired me. You did what I thought impossible. You got me to completely change for the better. I'm not that person anymore, and I'm teaching my kid what I learned from you. Not my father, not my family, friends, you. And that you can stand against what seems to be so impossible to face, so much difficulty, and do so with your head held high. You're unbreakable, and that we can be unbreakable if we decide to be. And it is really a choice. He said, I'm afraid what would ever break you. He told me, a particular bully. He said, I'd be terrified. Because I know what you've been, and that's during a time, some of the things that you've been through, and no way. I wouldn't want to be that person. He said, I don't honestly think I could. And I told him, yeah, you could. He decided to. But is it fair now? Is it fair now that we're being called all sorts of wonderful labels? All sorts of labels. Well, this is bad. This is good. And this is whatever. And the thing is, evil, good, are practically meaningless descriptions of someone or an action, or they're meaningless. They're selfish, selfless, and somewhere in the spectrum of it. There is healthy and unhealthy. There is easy, not so much. Those are real things. And again, what's easy for you may not be easy for someone else. all of that, depending on the context, of course. But those are more accurate ways of describing a given action or state of someone's mind or heart or what have you. But it's important to also recognize that these people, it's kind of like a learned behavior. And in part, we're responsible for how our society has become by our tolerance. If you don't tolerate someone being extremely mouthy and obnoxious and just simply rude, if you don't accept it, guess what? That behavior, in many cases, in most cases, I would even say, gets diminished because you're not tolerating it. You don't accept that that's okay. Um, I was a stepfather and loved him, miss him terribly. And the thing is that I taught them I'd tolerate the little fits. Not gonna happen. You know, did I hurt them? View? Of course not. I just didn't accept it ever. And they weren't used to that. They were used to people making excuses for it. You know, and that's what we have to do as a people is grow up and not accept this behavior, this calling everybody these labels and throwing around like they know what they're talking about, and manipulation of language and the being hired for something very, very important, very, very prestigious, very, very, how would I say, a huge amount of trust to be put into that position. And yet, they're being hired, if you will, these positions, and they're not even trustworthy. Wow. That's how degraded our society is. We've allowed ourselves to be victimized tremendously and for a long time. And though, like I said before in a previous, some videos, that's where we're at. And that needs to change. And it can only change when we decide that it's done. We will not accept it. It is not acceptable behavior. The flaunting of their despicable attitudes. They're spitting in your face and laughing at you. What do? You confront them. That's what you do. What is your problem? Since when did you bleed differently than me? Is your bowels awful special or something? You know. Oh, you have paper money and material wealth. I get it. But you know what? In reality, I don't give a hoot. Because when it comes down to it, my life and your life are on the same the same ground. You have to breathe. I have to breathe. And it'd be positive if you remember that. And perhaps a lot of people are impressed by your material wealth and your family success, or maybe even your success. Now get a cookie and get over it. Because there may come a time in the future when things don't go so special for you. Your ivory tower might not still be standing. You might lose it all for whatever reason. Likely by a whole lot of fault of your own, but maybe not. Maybe something unfair happened. Like, who knows? Some big bully was a bigger bully than you, and, well, you learned all about what it is to be a victim. Hmm, go figure. Maybe one day you're on the streets. Hmm. Different world. And the word respect suddenly means something, maybe. Maybe just a little. I've had encounters, typical, I think, more with guys in a very direct way, and women in their own way. But we've had those conversations. Very direct, eye to eye, and the reality of just how fragile all of our lives are became very obvious. And we had a heart to heart. And suddenly, reality became crystal clear that my life, your life, are just lives. And you got to respect that, regardless of whatever feelings you may have, opinions. Don't have to like me. Can't make you. Not interested in spending all that much time trying to. If you like, just be me. If you like me for me, then it's gonna work out. Not, well, things happen. I'm not going out of my way to break everybody down, but I'll tell you what, I call things like it is as I see it, and I'm willing to be wrong. But when people, certain people, are doing things that truthfully are greatly affecting my life and the life of people I care about, and in a country that I made so many sacrifices for, that I suffer with very little, um, despite the contract. There's a contract, believe it or not, between a veteran and their country. Mm. Not just your signature goes on it. But when they get to dictate your reality, if you will, for the most part, you have to have something to say and do. It's your responsibility. Ultimately, your responsibility is for your pursuit of happiness. It's your pursuit of relative safety, prosperity, your responsibility to feed yourself, right? It's your responsibility to breathe, to do all the things, functionality of what it is to be alive, for your own mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, everything. It's your responsibility. You have a lot of responsibility. Um, and as a society, you have some societal responsibilities. Well, some will say, well, I didn't sign up for that. I didn't sign up for that. I didn't ask to be. I didn't ask to be in the society. I didn't ask to be whatever. I didn't ask to be alive. Okay. Now get over it. Because it's not all that bad. Again, it can always be worse. In ways that we really don't want to necessarily know for sure. Excuse me, have a drink. We are what we are, and we must deal with what that is. The good, the bad, the ugly. So, make it so. Make it real. Make it real. That's so important. Well, this is my first, and hopefully we can get the ball rolling. Swim signing off. Thank you. I'll figure out how to end this.